She's the hottest little hen ahead on the internet. Just say Julie.
That's me!
Ba-ba-ba! Yeah!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Just Say Julie, the podcast. Today, my very, very special guest is my good friend, Sam Pancake. And yes, that's his real name. I know everyone asked you that. It's such a wonderful last name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is my real name. It's German. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was
I guess it's so unusual. That's why people ask you.
Yeah. Well, I totally get it. Well, the story of it is that my ancestors, the German part, which actually we had the 23andMe done and there was like no German. It was all just like straight up Anglo-Saxon white, just disgustingly white. But so anyway, there's some kind of German name in there, and it was Pfannkuchen in Germany, and apparently they made pancakes, I guess. And it was just one of those apparently my understanding is that it was just one of those names like shoemaker or baker or, Smith, Cooper, that were like what people did, and or bookbinder, but like we were pancake, and it's just very rare. Though where I'm from in West Virginia, which was Virginia when my ancestors first went there pre-Civil War, like in the 1740s or something. That was, there are a lot of pancakes there. So I grew up surrounded by it. I mean, we knew it was a kooky name, obviously, surrounded by, but it wasn't
like pancakes. Like, did everyone make pancakes, or just by actual people who were pancakes?
People who were actually named Pancake. Like there was, we still, the Pancake Farm, we had all these farms, and we still have this big farm up there that, I mean, my siblings, we don't actually farm it. Some of them hunt there, and we have a house there, and, and then we have other properties.
Wow.
I'm going there. Well, oh my God, Julie, this is so funny. I have something to tell you. I'm going there next month in December because my lefty progressive gay ass was asked to be the Grand Marshal of the town Christmas parade in this little conservative West Virginia town.
That's so fantastic. I mean, that's so fantastic. I was supposed to go to Germany in December too to do like
in West Virginia. I'm going to West Virginia, not
West
Germany.
Virginia. I thought the Germans were asking you. Okay, West Virginia.
Oh my God,
that's fantastic.
Oh my God, where are you going in Germany?
I'm going to play something called Dormant. I was gonna go, but then it was for one of those autograph conventions.
Yeah.
And it has the biggest Christmas market in like Germany. And I was so excited. And then they canceled me because they spent too much money on the Stranger Things cast. So I'm
annoying and obnoxious.
And obnoxious. And I don't even like that show. But I know people do like that show. So have you ever done an autograph show?
No, I'm not famous, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you are famous.
No.
You've been on everything.
True, but I'm not like someone who, I've signed autographs and I've done that kind of thing, but no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I've gone to see those shows a couple of times. One time my friend and I went because he really wanted to meet Christy McNichol, who was so important to us growing up. She's like my age, and I grew up with her on TV and films, and we got to meet her, and it was dreamy and exciting, and she doesn't work she doesn't work in the industry anymore. So, but she looked the same, and she was so nice, and it was a wonderful experience. But it was so cool to walk her out and see, like, there's the cast of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. To one of them, that it was like it wasn't Mary. It was before Mary passed away and before Betty passed away, but it was like Gavin MacLeod, who I'd actually worked with before, and Ed Asner, and all that. It was incredible.
They are really they're kind of amazing to do. And I was there this weekend at a comic called the Dallas Comic Show, and
Dallas,
because of that, in Dallas, my biggest character in the comic world is Zatanna, a character I voiced on Batman, the animated series.
I didn't know that.
Right? Yeah,
wow.
And the thing is, this weekend the guy Kevin Conroy, who played Batman, passed away.
I saw
so everybody was really sad.
Yeah.
Very sad. And he was only He wasn't very old. He was like 66. And I
Yeah.
mean, how upsetting is it that people that are our contemporaries are starting to pass away?
Well,
Right?
I am a gay man of a certain age, so I was losing friends in my early 20s, because of
Yeah, I
AIDS.
know. I know.
And I buried
I
so many
know.
people my age or around my age or not much older than me. And then the 90s were my roughest period in terms of losing friends and family, because that's when all my except for one, two of my
Yeah.
grandparents died, some aunts and uncles died. It was, and then it wasn't, once we got the HIV AIDS cocktail, the medicines that got better. And then, but now it's, I don't think a lot about my mortality. I've never been one of those people. I'm just like, it's just not my,
No, that's
I
good
used to,
you don't, because what are you going to do about it? Right?
that's the thing. I can't control it. I'm not going to worry about,
No.
I have a million worries and anxieties, and I let them
Yeah.
rule my life for too long. Dying was never on the list, and
Yeah.
just for whatever reason. So, but lately, as I get up there, I'm like, as much as I'm not even pretending to be a man child. I am sort of this like energetic, zany man child. But then I'm like, every once in a while, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in my 50s. Like, I am not a kid. And I only think of it when I'm auditioning for something. And like, I got one this morning. I'm like, in his 50s. I'm like, Sam, you're in your 50s. Like, just accept it.
Deal with it. I know. I
Exactly.
know.
But then I see
Well,
people, I'm like, of course, our generation will age differently than the prior generations. Like everyone, and a while ago, after I got
yeah.
sober 10 years ago, and like that shakes up everything in your in one's life. And I just had to take this clear-headed, clear-eyed look at myself and my past and like what the future might be. And I was like, I'm going to age how I age. I don't have to age like anybody else did. I don't have to, I can do whatever I need to do to stay looking pretty good. Luckily, I've been fairly successful so far. And I just am like,
You look great.
I'm going to do it on my terms, baby. But then you have days you're like, am I going to be in a wheelchair when am I living to 90? I don't know. Do I want to do that? I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I can't see you being in a wheelchair. And my mother's going to be 90 tomorrow.
Oh,
And
wow. Happy birthday, Mother Brown.
I know. She's just walking around, Santa Monica. She goes, I do my prayers every day and I do my walks. And like, that's what I'm going to do. That's my plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I see people that are younger than me that have just bought into the old age thing. And I want to slap them. Right?
Me too. I think some people, it's kind of, to me, it's like, well, my attitude toward all of it was forged by losing so many friends and acquaintances, or just, even famous people that I barely knew or didn't know at all, so young, that I was like, why? I'm going to do everything I can. And getting sober for me was a big one, because before I got sober, I was like, I'm ready to go, because I was slowly drinking myself to death, which is, not good.
And
but
you
then
had
I kind
issues that you had to deal with.
Had my renaissance of like, and got sober. I was like, oh shit, I got the rest of my life. And I got sober when I was 48, So I was like, I was deeply middle-aged then. And I'm like, well, I want to like make up for lost time to a degree, which they say you can't do, but you kind of can. And in some ways,
you kind of can.
In terms of doing things that I wasted so much time drinking and doing drugs. And that's just where I'm not beating myself up. I'm not living in huge regret, but there's like, there's a lot of shit I could have done then that I didn't. Then I'm going to do it now, like writing shows and just working more and just pursuing different things. So what was my point? Yeah. So I see people who just kind of ossify into this oldness.
Yeah.
Or I see people, especially, oh my God, because, on my podcast, when I do about TV movies from the 70s and 80s, it's so funny
I
to
love
watch
it.
them.
I've been listening to it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Say the name.
I want you to do it. I'm definitely going to do it.
I definitely want to.
It's
It's
Sam
called
Pancake
Monday
presents the
Afternoon.
Monday Afternoon Movie, and it's mostly
Yeah,
it
so
was
everybody
mostly
has
horror.
to.
Oh yeah, has what?
Everybody has to listen to it. Yeah, I just want people to listen to it.
but you'll see people like I was watching Salem's Lot, and the guy Kenneth McMillan was his name, just as for one of the many examples. And he played the sheriff, and he was a guy you would recognize him from the '80s. He looked like this old, chubby, like craggy faced, white haired, old, character actor guy. And then I looked at he was like 40, and he looks like 70. Fine, hooray for him. But like I'm like, holy shit, I could be his dad. It's just like it was crazy when you're like people just really like looked rough. And I know people have health concerns, or it's just a lot of mine I'm just lucky because of genetics. Like my dad and mom both, like, even for being like regular people in small town West Virginia, like my dad aged I don't know, it's just, I'm just lucky. And but then some people really, I think that they're done. My dad, even though he looked good, he retired early. He was an old man when he was 30. He just liked to sit in his chair and take his walks.
He embraced
read his
it. That's
books.
the thing, right?
Well, he embraced it too early. Like he embraced it way too early.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I don't get. Is like, why go, I'm old, I'm going to stop moving around. And how does their body become petrified? I don't know how that happens, right?
I don't know. Some of it's genetics, I think. Some of it's like, I've always had a lot of energy, too much sometimes, and so that can be bad in that I often have trouble sleeping or calming down, but it's good that I can get a lot of shit done if I can focus. My focus is another problem, but
that's a whole other thing. But to me, you seem really young, and I feel like I'm really young. And when I was doing this thank you, this convention this weekend, I had people come up to me that go, I used to love you when I was in high school. And they're like, you go, you're like a grandfather right now. Don't say that to me. It's so annoying and weirdly insulting without them meaning to be. But I have to just overlook it because they're trying to compliment you. But they're not.
Right? I know you know this better than anyone, but like people just, even for my little career, even like the things people say to you are so it's just
they're so insulting.
It's insulting or unbelievable or like what? And I know in my time I probably said weird things to people before I knew better when I first moved here and stuff, but it's so strange what people say. It's bizarre. Like I don't even know what to do with it sometimes.
What's the worst thing that someone said to you, if you can remember?
Well, I used to have this friend, quote unquote, who I grew up with, who was the first to call me. This is in the 90s. I remember him just like writing. I don't know. It must have been, we weren't emailing yet. It must have been over the phone or something. He said, or I think he left an answering machine message. And he was like, I saw that your new commercial. You look so old. Like, just off. But he's a dick. Yeah. And I was like, at the time, I was 34. I mean, it was just that thing of like, and it was, he's just a mean, I know, he was a mean guy. And eventually one time I posted something on social media and he made a really shitty comment. And he texted me and he was kind of making fun of me for doing a selfie. And I wrote back and I was like, why are you so mean? I finally, because he was a little bit, anyway, that's a whole different story. But like also people, I remember one time I was standing at the arc light, the late limited arc light. And this guy, he was clearly from the Midwest. He was like middle-aged guy, had this kid with him. And I was with a friend of mine standing there and he ran up to me. He's like, excuse me. He was like, I don't know who you are, but I know my wife does. And my wife would love it if we got a picture. He's like, I don't know what you're from, but I know. It's like, what? You don't know who I am. You don't know my name. You don't know what I'm from, but you want a picture for your wife because you know that she would know who I was. And she's not even here. And I'm like, whatever that means, sure. And my friend was one of those friends who gets embarrassed. He like ran to the other side of the lobby. So shit like that. I get a lot of people, especially since the masks came off, like stopped wearing masks out, like in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And not always, but sometimes, like I still wear them on the plane and stuff. But like but at the gym or like the grocery store, or where was I the other day, or even taking a walk, people this woman in the Target parking lot, and she turned and just stared at me. She stopped right in front of me. She stared me down. And I knew it was that thing because I've seen it a million times of like, you look vaguely familiar to me. Did I go to school with you?
Yeah.
Because I've been in reruns for 30 years now of like random TV shows. People are like, they're like trying to figure out if they know me from real life or what they know me from. And usually they don't follow through with the like, excuse me. But if they don't, I'm just like, oh, they'll figure it out or not. Or they have that look on their face of like, oh, TV, goodbye. And then they,
right.
That's what I get a lot of.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever heard?
I get that. Well, this one girl at the bank, she suddenly said, she looked at me and she goes, oh, yeah, my grandma used to really love you.
Oh, come on.
Yes. And she goes, are you still in show business? And I'm like, I just hate you. I just hate you and your whole age group right now.
It's so...
I mean...
Me and Drew Droege were at a party last week, and we were having a great time. Well, this guy, it was this big party, lots of gay guys, lots of like silly gay guys. Sorry, gay guys, but like some great ones, some not great ones. And me and Drew both have like heard it all. And this guy, he was chattering to me, and I'm pretty sure I'm like, there's some drugs in the mix here. And he was like, he's like, oh my God, you're Sam Pancake. And I was like, yeah. He's like, chatter. And he said, you still acting? And I had literally just got back from Vancouver shooting on the TV show that I recur on. One of the TV shows I recurred on in the last 3 years. And I started laughing. And Drew was like, walked up. He's like, what are you laughing? I was like, this guy just asked me if I'm still acting. And Drew was like, yes, he often does. I said, as recently as a couple of days ago. Yes, I am. And then he immediately, this guy was like, oh, I'm sorry. I should have said that. Like, just like, he was just like, Coke trails were flying out of his energy. You could just tell. So there's a lot of that.
And his brain was firing because he recognized you. Yeah. No, people do that, and they don't think they're insulting you. Like this weekend too, like I had the pictures from different things I'm in were out there, and people have one, they pick one out and pay for it and then you sign it. And I had like 2 different women go, this is my childhood. You're like, and they look terrible. So you're like, shut up.
You would be like, no, this was my childhood, not yours, Grandma.
I know. That's what I did say, but they're like, so it doesn't really pay because they think they're complimenting you. They really do. Yeah. So
it's a situation where we've had been lucky enough to have lots of fun things happen and fun career stuff. So what I say to myself is, here's my someone who checked me on it was like my friend Johnny McGovern one time. I think it was at like kind of the beginning of Instagram or Facebook or something. And just so many weird messages and people saying random shit. And it was so weird. And Johnny said, you wanted the attention, right? He's like, you wanted to be famous. I'm like, sure, I don't mind it. He's like, you wanted the attention, right? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, you can't control it. And that's the thing. You can't control what people say. And it's just, you have to, what I've done is like, I have to take a deep breath and I'll point something out or make a remark if someone's rude, because I'm not a famous person who's going to be like, Brad Pitt was a dick. I don't want people thinking I'm a dick, because I hope I'm not, but like, I'll gently correct people like I did to that guy the other night, which is like, know, but I also know that people are going to say shit. It just surprises you. Like, and since you're human, they say this remark and you have a personal response. It's hard not to, like, for me, for my big mouth and my, attention span, things will fly out of my mouth at people. And I just got to learn to take a deep breath when I remember to.
Well, I've just tried to remember that they mean things as a compliment. They really do. So you just have to go,
they do.
I accept that. And that's the price of being recognizable. I was trying to think last night, when did I meet you?
Okay, I remember, gosh, because I remember, of course, I loved Just Say Julie so much, and I always wanted to meet you. And
your grandma.
It was my childhood. I was not a child. I'm kidding. And I know the first show Julie, it was when we did Chips and Facts of Life. I'm pretty sure it was that through Christian
Oh,
McLaughlin.
is that where we met?
I think
Yes,
so. I
that
mean, we
probably
might have
was.
met in passing at an event or something, but then
Yeah.
when you were a guest star, you and Mink Stoll were the guest stars, and this was like 97, I think. My
Yeah.
memory says 97, so I think that's it.
Pretty good. I wouldn't have come up with that year.
I remember that because I'm really good about remembering, for the most part, the years I did shows in, because I would do one big like show a
Right.
year, like
Right.
show, like, I mean, a local LA stage show, or maybe a
Right.
New York, that sticks in my brain for that year. It's how I remember the year. So yeah, that's my guess. And then we did it again later
Yes.
at the Renberg, where you were one of the celebrity guest Natalie's.
Natalie. I played Natalie.
Like
and you played Blair, and you were
yeah,
unbelievably funny. And I think you're right, because that's when I remember going, he's so freaking funny. He's taking this part and making it brilliant
thanks.
and getting laughs on every line. What we did was we did the actual script from Facts of Life
Yeah.
and had different comic actors playing the girls. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's weird because it sounds not funny, but it is really funny. Right?
It works. It works really well.
It worked really well. It's just like you. Sam has been part of the Golden Girls in LA, the Golden Girls cast, and he plays Sophia, and it's unbelievably funny. How many years have you been doing that?
We first started doing it and my memory is 2014. So it's been 6 years.
Wait, no, that's longer than that. That's 9 years.
8
years. 8 years. We can't do math.
Right? Yes. That's right, because this last time we did it in in August.
Right.
And I said to them, I realized, because the Golden Girls itself was only on the air 7 years, and this is our 8th year. And I was like, y'all, we've been doing this longer than they actually did the Golden Girls.
That is so great. The show's so funny. I can't believe how funny you guys make that show. Yes. I mean, it was funny, but you guys make it so hilarious. And I got to play Burt Reynolds, guest star this time.
That's
right.
I got
to be Burt Reynolds.
We had celebrity Burt Reynolds, just like we used to have celebrity guest celebrity Natalie's. It was you and Stephanie Courtney was one of them, who was Flo from Progressive, and then many people, including Chris Pine, who we appeared in his movie.
What was Chris Pine like? What was he like?
Oh, he's great. Well, I think I can say this because the movie should come out next year. It's a long story. I'll try to make it short. But Chris Pine and his writing partner Ian Gottler, and Ian had seen us do Golden Girls live. And then he watched us over COVID. We did some live streams of recordings we had done before COVID, and we talked about them. And he really I guess he was this guy who didn't really know Golden Girls that well. And he said he binged them all over COVID. Now, he told us this at the end of our shooting day. But in May, we got this offer to play Golden Girls live in this movie called Pool Man that Chris Pine wrote with Ian Gottler, and Chris also stars in it and directed it. And it's kind of like I haven't seen it yet. I've read it. But it's kind of Chris plays this scruffy pool man who gets involved with the corrupt politics of Los Angeles. And it's kind of a love letter to LA. And it's kind of a neo-noir Chinatown. Annette Bening's in it, Danny DeVito, Jennifer Jason Leigh. And a scene takes place, I won't give anything away, but a scene takes place at Golden Girls Live. And so we're in it. Well, not all of us are in it. You'll have to watch the movie to see. But Chris was so great. And then we shot that day. And prior to the shooting day, we shot in July of this year, I said to Jackie and Drew, because we knew we were going to have celebrity Burt Reynolds in the August version of Golden Girls Live. Because y'all, what we do is the actual scripts from the TV show. And it's the one where Burt Reynolds himself shows up at the end of the episode and plays himself. So I said, y'all, if Chris Pine is cool and this goes well and the vibe is right, at the end of the day, I'm going to ask him, what do I have to lose? if he'll play Burt Reynolds. And he was cool and the vibe was right. And I said, at the end of the day, they were thanking us. He and Ian were so great. They're like, thank you. This is so good and fun. And I said, hey, and Ian's like, when are you doing it again? Or someone said that. And I'm like, we're doing it in August. And I was like, we have a guest celebrity, Burt Reynolds, if you want to do it, Chris Pine. And he was like, sure. And he followed up on it and 100% did it. And he was great.
I can't believe that. And when I saw that, I think it was on Facebook.
He's awesome.
And I was like, Chris Pine?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think he's really funny. I think he's super funny. And he doesn't get to do as funny parts as I think he is funny. You know what I mean? He should do more comedy.
He's from... Yeah, I agree. He is, his parents are actors. And the other thing that was kind of cool is literally my friend Monica Weich is in that Apple TV series 5 Days at Memorial, about where Katrina hits this hospital. And it's really good and really upsetting and really wild. Anyway, she's in it. She flew out here to LA for the premiere, and we went, and she was like, oh, and I was telling her about all this because this had all just happened. And I said about Chris Pine, and he's going to do Golden Girls. And she was like, oh, his dad's in this. And I'm like, the captain from Chips? And yes, Chris's dad, Robert Pine, speaking of Chips, he plays the head of the hospital in that series. And Monica was like, maybe Chris will be here. And I'm like, oh, that's not how Hollywood works. And then I was waiting for her in the theater. She was doing all the red carpet stuff. We went and sat down, and she was like, there's Chris. And I'm like, Chris who? She's like, Chris Pine. I was like, there he was. She's like, go say hi. And I was, because we had shot already, right? And I was like, oh, no. I said, I like doing that. And if he's at the party after, and he seems cool, and because I hate being that person to go up to the superstars, excuse me, we were, it feels so gross.
I know. So I hate it too. It's too weird.
Yeah, and he was there talking to this lady, and he and they were talking for a long time because I was keeping it. It was a really fun party. The food was great. It was at some fancy restaurant on Melrose, and it wasn't like too obnoxious. It was like everything was really beautifully handled.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to go over and say hi. And so I went over and I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to disturb you. And I'm Sam, and I played Sophia. And he was like, oh my God. Because at that point, he was clean shaven. He had a beard in the movie. And at the party, I had my beard back because I grew it back. He was like, I didn't recognize you. And he was like, this is my mom. And I said, oh my God, Gwen Guilford from Satan School for Girls, because she's in some of those movies that I covered on my podcast about 70s TV horror movies.
Oh my God.
And his mom was like, so I'm sure, she's lovely. She was like, I think kind of surprised and delighted I knew who she was. And so and then we had this really great conversation, and I was like, he's like, I'm doing the show in August. And then he, like, when he came in August to do the show, it was just no entourage. He showed up by himself. He had his wardrobe, and he was like, I haven't been on stage in 10 years. This is really fun. And he was great.
Oh my God. That's so great to hear. I do love hearing that people that you like are actually nice people. It's hard when you hear that they're horrible and they are not friendly.
Yes.
And I hate that. Okay. Who was the worst person you ever worked with?
Speaking
of that.
Oh my God. The worst people I've worked with are directors on commercials. That's been the worst experiences I've ever had have been with ad agency people and director. Not all of them. And I've done dozens and dozens. I used to make my living at commercials, just like I've done.
Yeah.
I don't even how dozens and dozens of commercials and stuff. And it was these asshole directors who are, I guess, mad they're not doing movies and TV, and who are just dicks to work with. Again, not all of them. Some are great.
No.
But and it's advertising, and it's everything by committee. But actor wise, Rip Taylor, he stalked me after I did Will and Grace with him, and he kept calling me and cussing me out and leaving terrible messages on my machine.
What?
This is after I did. Oh my God. Yeah. He was really mean. I do a whole storytelling piece about it, and I'm putting together a book of experiences. And also when I did my one-man show about my last 30 plus years of being an out gay actor in Hollywood. Yeah, he was really scary. I wasn't afraid of him physically, but
what was his complaint about you?
He would cuss me out for not answering my phone, because after we did this week on Will and Grace, and he was just very much a character, and just a very, I don't want to say anything too mean, just a nasty old queen. And then he asked her my phone number, and he said, I'm going to call you on Thursday. If I'm not dead, act surprised. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, because he was, Victor Garber was on the same episode, and Victor giving him his number. And I'm like, what can it hurt? So then he started calling me, and I answered. This is back in the days of like landline with an answering machine and having a cell phone. This is like 03 or 04.
Right.
And he just would tell the same stories and about like Judy Garland and Debbie Reynolds, but they weren't delightful anymore. And he was so angry and bitter about everything. And then I stopped answering the phone, and he would just like say rip and hang up the phone, or he'd be like, why don't you call me back? And then I remember on Thanksgiving I came home, and he like left this like fucking crazy voicemail, like, where the fuck are you? No, you never answer your phone. No wonder you don't have a career. You're never gonna make it. You answer when your agents call you, you son of a bitch. Like, just, I mean, I don't know who he's mad at, but it was just like this crazy, I think, drunk, like, vitriol.
Wow, that's. Did you save it or anything? Did you save the message?
Oh my God, Julie, this is so crazy. I remember my friend Chris Shea. I made him listen to it, and it so freaked me out that I erased it. Like, I didn't think in the long term. It was so mean and ugly. Like, I never wanted to hear it again, and it really fucking scared me. It was so mean. And I remember I erased it just to get that energy out of my life. And now later I was like, God, I wish I had it,
I know, because it's like you played at your show. It'd be so amazing, right?
I know.
You don't think that way.
No, because he had left me so many shorter ones, like, why don't you pick up your fucking phone, click. Or he just rip and hang up the phone. And I would just I was in this, because this went on for like 2 months. And I was just in the habit of like, 6 weeks, 2 months. Yeah. And so I was just in the habit of like, just erase. And it was on those little, I don't remember what kind of machine it was. I think it was just digital.
Oh yeah, with those little tapes. I don't know. Little tapes. Yeah.
Maybe the tapes, or maybe old school digital.
Oh
I don't know. But it's all true.
How many, you've done a lot of, one man show or with a couple of people in it. You've done a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
I think I've been to maybe 5 of them, I would say. Well, with Drew too.
Probably.
With Drew.
Probably.
Right?
Well, the ones with Drew.
Good.
Yeah.
They're so
Thank
good.
You.
How
thank you for coming to my last one. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the postcards from the Edge one that I just did. I talked to, we'll see. I had a Zoom meeting with the new director of the Renberg and the cultural stuff, the LGBTQ. He was the guy, Jonathan Munoz Peru, who he was the one who introduced us to the Mismatch game. But when we did that together, you and me last month,
right.
And he was very nice, and they're looking for things to do. And I possibly will do it there. What I don't have, I realize, is when I was young, maybe you too, we weren't diagnosed with ADHD, or they would call kids hyperactive and put them on Ritalin.
Right.
This stuff but the real science of neurodiversity and Asperger's, which I'm not that, but I do definitely have like focus problems and executive brain function problems, where like it overwhelms me. Like I'm not good at producing my own stuff. I can only do it at a certain level. And I don't, after all these years in the business, I'm not sure what to do with these shows. And that sounds ignorant, I know, but
no. I get it. Because you're like, what's the next level? What do I do with them?
Yeah. Because what I do is like, I do them a few times.
Well, no, you should definitely do Pancakes from the Edge. That is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Pancakes from
I would
the
love
Edge.
to.
You should definitely do that at the Renberg.
Yeah, I would love to, and it's a possibility. Or if not the Renberg, the smaller one there, and do more nights. The Davidson Valentini, the little one, which I would love to do.
Right.
And Jonathan and I talked about that too. It wouldn't be till the end of 23 or 24, because these now, when you have a season like that, a proper season, which they're going to try to have there now, or they are going to have there now, you have to plan ahead.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, he's just getting started. He's only been there 4 months, I think, and he's finding his way and figuring it all out. I really liked him, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen there, And my problem is, though, first of all, my beard, which I like keeping in general, and I like having it for certain TV things. And the show that I recur on now on ABC, like, they like me having it, and it's over. It's in its last season, but I'm afraid to do a run of a show or tour with something, because I have that thing of like, what if I get called in to do my TV show, or what if I get a job? Because working on TV and movies is what I really want to do. I love doing the stage. It's easy and fun, but the money is in the TV, the residuals, because as you know, of course, it's great to get paid for that week, but especially network stuff, the money keeps coming. And every time I'm afraid I'm going to miss something.
It's like magical. Like, you get a check.
It is magical.
And you go, that was like magic. I know.
Yes.
I know.
And it keeps paying into your health insurance, and your pension. And so then I'm afraid to, like, do I take the risk and I like get a producer, and if I'm lucky enough to go on tour with something, I'm not so famous that I'm going to sell out a bunch of theaters, and so it's that, like, I need to take the plunge of just like, I need to find a producer who wants to work with me to put my stuff up. And maybe I will. I haven't pursued it that hard. I will absolutely admit that I haven't pursued it that hard.
Right. I think you should get a producer, and I think you should do a limited run of it, and then you should film it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm definitely, and it's a matter of kind of raising the money if you will. I'm definitely going to shoot the 3 different segments that I just did in Pancakes from the Edge, like the older actress and the audition lady, and then the guy who talks to angels. I'm definitely going to shoot all those. And my friend who works at Disney is going to produce them. And then I'm like, well, then what do we do with them? And I'm like, we'll see. At least I'll have a really good, of course I filmed the show. I had it recorded, but I want to do a proper filming and see what happens. And just kind of let the universe
you should do like
sort it out.
Well, but you should definitely do that, I think, because I mean, like, when Carrie Fisher taped her show, that was pretty great, because you could watch it, and you knew you were watching a stage show, but it still was great. So
wishful drinking, yes, like absolutely.
That, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just like, things usually work out, have a way of working out eventually. So I'll see what happens. And then the ones that I do, the one-man show I do called Wasted on a Boy, about my experience as an actor in Hollywood, is I talk shit about famous people in it sometimes. Not shit, but I tell stories that I'm like still like, oh, is that how should I say that? But I'm going to put that in a book, because I'm turning those into essays as sort of a, I mean, if it's successful, ideally it feels like David Sedaris in Hollywood kind of thing,
Right. That's great. No, I'm writing an autobiography too. I started writing it.
Good.
And it's hard though, because the hardest part is like remembering. And then when you remember, you're like, oh, like, it's a little bit overwhelming, because you go, I really went through that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not without a price that you remember all that stuff, or you're kind of coughing it up.
That's the thing. Heck yeah. That's like remembering it and getting it all, churning it all back up and everything is hard. Yeah. It's hard.
It's so hard. And it makes me remember how much trauma I went through, especially as a young actress. I didn't remember how many men were horrible to me until I started trying to remember. And you go, I mean, did you have that happen too?
I had different versions of it. I don't think I was hot and sexy enough to get a whole lot of bad things happen. But like, my stuff was more about people being homophobic, and just people, just all the different ways that people are homophobic. And in the last 5 years, yes, I've realized some sexual experiences I had that were like non-consensual. And the times where I was like, oh, I'm just going to lay here and take it. Like, that's rape. That's not, or it's a sexual assault. It's not just because
it's sexual assault. And you just thought.
I had some people chasing me around the casting couch, but I had some moments. That's for sure.
I know. So I'm just going to write it down and expose everybody And that will be my vengeance.
There you go. Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
Absolutely.
I know.
Do it.
Well, we're kind of done now, Sam. That was 40 minutes. Isn't that crazy?
I thought you meant my career.
No. You're going to go
kidding.
on to everything because you're so
Yeah, I want to work till I drop.
insanely talented.
Right.
And
Thank you, and right
you've
back
been on
at
every
you, honey.
sitcom, right? You've been on like every sitcom and so many comedy movies, and you're just always doing things. So this was really fun talking to you. I love you. You're
And to you.
just wonderful, and thank you for
I
being on
love
my
you and
podcast.
adore you, and thank
Me
you for
too.
having me.
Okay, bye.
All right.
See you at the next
Bye, honey.
mismatch game. Bye, honey. Just say Julie, ba ba ba, yeah.